Today in Payrunner Pass, we're checking out the brand new Batman Arkham Asylum. This is the latest attempt to do the Dark Knight justice in the video game world, and this time around, we have the game that Batman fans have been waiting for. The game opens up with Batman heading to Arkham Asylum to deliver the recently escaped Joker back to his home away from home. Once there, the Joker breaks free from his captors and takes control of Arkham Asylum with the help of his girl and my personal favorite, Harley Quinn. It's easy to imagine how a place already as crazy as Arkham can just become completely out of control with the Crown Prince of Crime at the helm. And the Joker definitely takes it all the way. Since most of Gotham's criminals are locked up in the asylum, Joker decides to form loose alliances with some of the worst and unleashes them on Batman. Once in control of Batman, players will find that this game makes it easy for them to utilize all of Batman's skills to overcome his enemies. In the game, Batman can dispatch his enemies in a number of ways. He can slip into detective mode, which allows him to see through walls and locate enemies, and then determine a sneaky way to take care of them with his gadgets. He can run in and take them on in hand-to-hand combat, or he can use a combination of both. All of these options are executed flawlessly. When in detective mode, players will need to set up a plan of attack as to not be seen by enemies in the area. Utilizing the environment is key when in this mode, whether it's swinging from gargoyles or ledges, or luring enemies into strategic locations that make them easier to dispatch. Players have a variety of gadgets and moves to take down enemies. One of my personal favorite moves is hanging from a gargoyle, swooping down, grabbing your enemy, and then stringing him upside down for his cohorts to find. What I like to do, though, is also put some explosive gel underneath him so it blows up when his cohorts find him strung up. It's a good feeling. It's great to use gadgets in the game as well. All of the gadgets you acquire will be upgradable as the game continues, and it's essential to pair gadgets with the environments. Using explosive gels on a ceiling or wall and then detonating them when an enemy approaches is quite literally a blast. The hand-to-hand combat system in the game is extremely intuitive and fun to use. You point towards the enemy you want to attack, and Batman moves towards him and delivers the blow. It's a breeze stringing attacks together in a flurry of punches, counters, and stuns. It can become quite spectacular to watch Batman dispatch a room full of enemies using only his hands. The boss battles in this game are out of this world, some of the most fun I've had when taking on bigger foes in games in recent memory. It can be quite challenging at times, but once you overcome the boss, it's an extremely rewarding feeling. Now, some of the levels in this game are mind-numbing. Multiple times in the game, Batman encounters Scarecrow, becomes dosed, and then slips into alternate realities where he has to face his fears. These sequences are some of the best in the game, and luckily for players, they happen more than once. Arkham Asylum is a sacred place in the Batman universe for fans, and there have been many interpretations of what it looks like. In this game, the place feels exactly as it should. The environments look incredible. It's what I've always envisioned the asylum should be like. The place has a dark and grimy undertone, and since all the inmates are loose running free, the place is a total wreck. The overall feel of the game is a cross between the animated series from the 90s and the Dark Knight film by Christopher Nolan. It has a lot of the characters' personas from the animated series, but with the seriousness of the new film. It's a fine line to walk, but the game knocks it out of the park and creates a visual style to the Batman universe that's yet to be created until now. It's pleasing to watch such smooth transitions between cutscenes into gameplay. I mean, there are times when the transition is so smooth it's hard to remember when it's time to play and not just watching it. The game visually looks like one big cutscene. I mean, it's really jaw-dropping. The character animations are all rock solid as well. I mean, seeing Batman beat his opponents into submission or stalk them from above has never looked better.
Hey, Sharpie. Love what you've done with the place.
Luckily, the creators of Batman Arkham Asylum realized that some of the best voice acting that's been done in any Batman iteration has come from the animated series from the 90s. That means in this game, Batman is voiced by Kevin Conroy, Harley Quinn is voiced by Arlene Sorkin, and best of all, the Joker is voiced by Mark Hamill.
Ta-da! Honey, I'm home.
Come on in.
This game really has the actors pushing the limits with these characters. I mentioned earlier that this has a bit more serious side to the game. It's nice because the actors are able to take these characters to places they've never been before, really explore that darker side. It's refreshing to have a Batman game that's geared more towards an adult-oriented audience. The sound effects in the game are just as good as the voice acting. It's the sounds expected from Batman and his gadgets. The soundtrack in the game is very subtle at first, but establishes a pace in the game that really contributes to the overall experience. At times, I was getting so worked up in certain boss battles, I actually realized a lot of it had to do with the soundtrack being played in the background. I didn't even know. That's the job of a sound designer, and they hit the nail on the head in Arkham Asylum. Now, with a game as deep as Arkham Asylum actually is, the controls can be a worrisome issue. Good thing is here, they aren't an issue at all. Everything done with Batman in the game feels completely natural, nothing forced at all. Fighting in the game is seamless. It's very easy to take out enemies in hand-to-hand combat, and that's due largely to the solid controls in the game. It's easy to button mash, but there's a deeper fighting experience here once the details are learned. Counters and stuns are slipped into fighting without any hassle from the controls. Using all of Batman's gadgets are simple and intuitive as well. The camera controls in the game are a breeze, and never once did I find myself in an awkward angle. Controls in the game make playing as Batman a very fun and rewarding experience. Batman Arkham Asylum is hands down the best Batman game ever made, period. It's the first time I've ever played a Batman game from start to finish and truly felt like I was absolutely in control of the Dark Knight. There is no doubt in my mind that this game becomes a classic and a standard for future Batman games. All the companies involved in making this game really came together to create one of the most rewarding, challenging, and fun Batman games to date. The best thing about this game is that even if someone isn't a fan of Batman or isn't familiar with the franchise, this game welcomes them with open arms and makes it extremely easy to become a fan very quickly. With all the extras that are packed into this title, like Riddler trophies to collect, challenge modes to unlock, and increasing difficulty levels, this game should keep gamers coming back for a very long time. Drop what you're doing right now and go buy this game. It's a pay.